Bun Banneret is one of the hardest void bosses to take on raw. It has several mechanics, but its main mechanic is that it has damage phases where you have to stun it or you're immediately killed by an unblockable auto-hit death element nuke. And after those stun mechanics, it adds increased power. So first, it goes from attacking once each turn to attacking twice with permanent celerity. Then after the next stun phase, it goes to random triple element attacks. Then after that, it goes to random triple element attacks with celerity. Then after that, it goes to random triple element attacks with celerity and 1.5 times damage. So, it's a tricky boss. By the end of the kill, it's pretty much impossible to tank it without strong Ellie shields, choke, or panic. So instead, I'm going to be teaching you a method for each build to nullify that entire mechanic of its attacks, and instead cheese it by nuking it through its damage thresholds so it never has a chance to attack. Now first up is Warrior, and this method is going to look very similar to the Ranger method that I'm going to show you later. For weapon setups, they've got pretty simple: H-series, boosters, Uragiri. Uragiri for the accuracy bonus over a Bloodblade, because accuracy can mess you up here. We're going to use the low-level Olympics medal aligned to No Clan or Geoto for an Earth Imbue. And we're going to use Swordmaster Emblem. You could use any boosting misc you want. One with strength is honestly pretty good. And then you can simply attack twice with H-series. This will almost always take it to its damage threshold. Next are the stun options. Now I'm going to be using Myrmidon Champion because it's cool and they just released it at the time of recording with the color coding. But I'm going to put a list of stun options on screen and their pros and cons now. Okay, so those are the stun options. And what we're going to be doing is using the Ring of Precision to make sure our attacks land, because with Myrmidon Champion, it's based off hit accuracy partially. Also going to be saving SP because this attack doesn't do much damage. So with Chieftain's Ironthorn and 100 luck and the Frost Effigy pet, which gives 20 potence to freeze-like effects, you will always inflict this if you hit both hits against Bunbarian because it has 30 stun weakness during these stun phases. So we broke our opponent's stance. Now we switch to H-series. Again, summon Essence of Carnage, Angry Linworm, Imbue to Earth with Olympics medal. Switch to our boosting, and just to make it a little more reliable, I'm going to use Earth of Osiris instead of Swordmaster Emblem. This gives me a lot of extra accuracy, but a little bit less damage. And so that should nuke it down to the next phase. There we go. And I'm sure you can see where this cycle is going from here. We're going to use Essence Orb, fill up our SP, go back to Myrmidon Champion, again, Ring of Precision and Frost Effigy. For other stuns, you're going to want to use Spotter Drake instead, obviously. And again, use the Deadly Catch skill. This works because the Deadly Catch makes them take more damage from energy, so you actually don't have to imbue to Earth. That was in the beginning of the method, but I got flustered and forgot that you don't have to imbue to Earth. So that was my mistake. But that'll save you SP, because in the future the Olympics medal is probably going to be patched. So it's good that you don't have to imbue to Earth, because that method is not going to be long-term feasible. So again, same thing, do it every time. You don't have to dismiss the guest, but last time I was doing some testing, I wasn't being very careful and I ran out of SP. So just being extra cautious. So now our foe is drowning. Second to last phase, summon Essence Orb. Essence of Carnage, excuse me. And again, we just attack. And finally, this should be the last phase. Bring up Precision, Frost Effigy, Deadly Catch. And again, this armor is going to be reworked a little bit, so it won't work for the stuns in the future. But for the moment, for this particular rotation of Bun-Bun Ret, it works great for Rangers, Mages, and Warriors because the skill follows weapon type. So this method will work reliably. Next up is the Ranger method, which is exactly identical, except you use the H series rocket skill instead of the basic attack. Okay, so here we are with the Ranger method, and there's only one or two things we're going to change up. And that is going to be, we are going to be casting Moonwalker's Grace every couple turns, just to make sure we refresh the buff, because Moonwalker's Grace gives 86 dexterity, which is like a 18% damage increase, and gives like 12 accuracy. So that pretty much nullifies any RNG that was left in the method. We'll still use the Olympics medal for the first turn because it's not frozen yet for water, so it doesn't take increased damage from water. And we're going to use Spearmaster Emblem because our accuracy is covered. Then Overdrive Onslaught and click Missile Barrage. If for some reason you don't want to do the mana trick to cast Moonwalker's Grace by using a Misk and Shield, you can instead use Uragiri with the range lock skill, because it doesn't really matter, it's locked to range anyways, and that'll still give you the accuracy to make it quite reliable. So let's see, we have one more turn of Dex boost. Ring of Precision, actually it's not really required, because again we have all that extra accuracy, but just for convenience sake. Okay, and then, as you saw, back to H series, load up on SP. We are going to use the weapon, if I can click it. Yeah, so now it does plus 30% damage, so even more reliable than the warrior method. And the stats don't have to be exactly this. If you don't have luck at all, you might do a little bit less damage and be a little bit less accurate, but it would just take 1 or 2 resets. I think that finished it. Did I see that correctly? I think one attack finished it with the nuked it right through the face. Let's check the battle log. Yeah, look, it did damage. Oh no, I think it... Oh yeah, it went through the damage phase because Bun-Bun Ret healed. So I don't actually have to spend any SP, but it's only 87, so why not? I like the animation, what can I say? I'm a simple man. Back to Myrmidon Champion. Top up on SP. And now we have to remember to reuse the Dex Boost spell. So this does deplete our HP a little bit, but I think it's going to be fine. Famous last words, honestly, but... So there we go, stunned up again. Again, it's not a complicated method. The water freeze makes them take more damage from energy effects, and you use energy effects from H series because it's extremely strong. That was, it hit the damage phase, I could tell by watching the HP. So what I'm going to do now is to make it more efficient, just drink an HP potion so that I have more HP to spend on Essence Orb later. That's what I recommend if you try it first and you run out of HP or SP. Just drink an HP potion after your nukes. Frost Effigy for Potence. Deadly Catch. And it looks like we'll have to refresh on our dex boost this turn. And when you do this, you do lose HP. It's not like free mana. The HP cost takes what the MP cost would instead. Let's see, Spearmaster Emblem, Anchor Little Worm. Again, this is pretty overkill, but better safe than sorry. Yeah, look at that. That's, again, I'll just drink another HP potion. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, the Warrior Method and the Ranger Method are almost identical, just with a couple optimizations on the Ranger Method. If you have pay-to-win items, you can use them. It's not a complicated situation. You can use pay-to-win items, and you should have like a pretty logical way to just increase your damage, increase your accuracy, increase your SP gain, whatnot. But yeah, this is a very accessible free-to-play method. And instead of, and if you do use something other than Myrmidon, you will do a lot less damage because the water freeze really does help. So you might need more boosting and extra celerity turns, for example. One thing I find is that 2 turns of beast form in werewolf, vampire, werepire is almost always enough damage to nuke it through a phase. So if you attack twice with celerity, that's reliable. With an earth weapon, with your basic boosters. Yeah, so next up is the Mage Method, and this one is actually different. So look forward to that. Okay, so here is the Mage Method. It's going to be pretty simple, nothing too crazy. We're going to be using Necromancer and various spell boosting that we have available to make sure we take down Bun-Bun without letting her hit back. So first, you're going to want to make sure you're set to Spellcaster Lean, Mana Amplification, and plus 50 in. That's a lot of your damage, you really need it. Next, you use Grand Haunting. It does slightly more damage than Primal Fear against Bun-Bun, so it is better than Primal Fear, but it does cost more resources. But for the first turn, you really do need that extra damage. Next, what you're going to do is use, again, Frost Effigy, Ring of Precision, since your damage doesn't matter on this turn. You could also take off your Int Drive and whatnot, but I'm not really going to bother saving that little SP. And then you use Glimpse of the Mountain from Lost Talon Part 3. This will petrify the boss, which will let you use a multi-hit wind spell to do a boatload of damage. In this case, I'm going to be using Cyclone. It has 5 hits. I actually recommend this spell over all the others, even though it is high random damage. But as you can see, we nuked it quite hard, but not quite hard enough. So the good thing about this method is, 1, you have a barrier to bail you out if you need, and 2, what we're actually going to be doing is using Celerity from Shadow Feeder Pendant to make sure we have enough resources. So first, I'm going to drink an MP potion because I got a Celerity turn. Then I'm just going to attack with a random weapon. You should have an earth weapon, but I kind of forgot to bring one. So we'll just play it a little slow until we hit the next damage phase. Okay, so we hit the next damage phase. Now we go back to Necromancer because it gives potence and it's just better. Frost Effigy once again. Get a little bit of SP here. Ring of Precision, Celtic Wheel, Silas Staff, and Glimpse of the Mountain to petrify one more time. Okay, and this time, because it's a little bit unreliable to get enough damage, oh, I got 2 turns by mistake. No big deal. What I'm going to do is first equip over Osiris, Fairy Godmother. If you have boosters of any kind, it'll pretty much be reliable. But since I'm using a free-to-play setup, what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I hit the damage threshold, and it doesn't look like I did. So what I'm going to do now is summon Ancestral Wraith for extra damage, and Spotter Drake for extra damage. Now this should be more than enough. There's my cat. So I'm just going to drink a mana potion and let the pets and guests finish it off. As you can see, it's at the damage threshold. It was just 300 away or so. Okay, so again, we use Frost Effigy. Do I have one more turn of Celerity? I do. I use the Twilly Guest for healing. Why not? A little bit of Essence Orb, Ring of Precision, Glimpse of the Mountain. Now, because I've inflicted the stun, I don't need the Frost Effigy anymore. I'm going to use Fairy Godmother to restore some resources, and I'm going to drink a mana potion. So this Mage Method, it's come out a little scuffed, but if you give yourself Celerity to deal more damage every turn, you won't have to worry about not getting through the damage range. So let's make sure I have Celerity. Let's use Cyclone. Alright, I got a Lucky Strike there, but I'm not sure it worked. But I should be good to just cast again. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so damage through the threshold. It's going to be the last stun phase, and I have enough mana for 2 spell casts. So I should be all set. But I'm going to get Celerity. I'm not going to get Celerity this turn. I'm going to stun it. Ring of Precision, because if you miss one of the hits, the save is a little bit weaker. Okay, now I'm going to get Shadow Feeder Pendant. A little bit of Essence Orb. Allow your of Osiris. Spotter Drake. Summon Ancestral Wraith. And Cyclone. Okay, so I wouldn't have needed Celerity. The Pet and Guest would have finished it off. But since I do have Celerity, I'll finish it off with a basic attack. So there you go. That is a permanently available Mage Method. You simply stun it with a Petrify and then nuke with Wind. If you have another Accuracy, Steroid, maybe New Year's Surprise, Arcane Amplification, Royal Cake, Shield Cake, or perhaps Quick Cast Death Loss from Mindbreaker Shield or Time Gauntlet, that'll make this method more reliable and simpler. But because I was missing some hits, I ended up having to use Celerity to win. But aside from that, I hope this was helpful. Let's now go over the items. So there's the Call and Summon Bun-Bun. These are simply guests that trade all their damage to give MRM. They're very powerful with Celerity and the pet as well. You become unhittable. 1000 Land Strike is a 12-hit Charisma Wind spell that's overcharged. Nothing else to say, it's just great. Bun-Bun pet, same as the guest. Trades all its damage for pure MRM. Really, really good with Celerity. Really, really good without Celerity. And then, of course, the painting and the house cards. Thanks.